A sunny and beautiful day. Greet us for the MotoAmerica Superbike Championship of Utah. Hello, everyone. I'm Greg White, sitting alongside Jason Pridmore, and this is round 7 of 9 for the MotoAmerica Superbike Championship. We're at Utah Motorsports Campus, formerly known as Miller Motorsports Park. Getting ready for the Supersport Superstock 600, race number 2 of the weekend. Yesterday we had race number 1. And there's a look at Cam Peterson, number 45, Jason, who you had an opportunity to spend some time with yesterday.
Yeah, you know, we're trying to give some more exposure to some of these young kids and not being just on the grid or just in the podium. And we kind of come up with the idea of getting to know them a little bit better. And I've been having some fun here. And
getting you to ride the motorcycle. So going to be a little bit of time with Cam Peterson. Right now, we're going to take a commercial break. On the other side, we had some cameras where Cam and Jason got to hang out together, talk, and ride the motorcycle, did Jason Pridmore. So don't go anywhere on BN Sports, because on the other side, we'll show you that. Before the break, we mentioned Jason Pridmore had a chance to go hang out with Cam Peterson of the M4 SportBikeTrackGear.com Suzuki team. He hung out with them, talked to him, and he got to ride his motorcycle. The first question Jason asked him, how's the season going so far?
It's been a little bit up and down, you know. We started off struggling a little bit. Those first 2 rounds was a struggle for me. You know, once again, just trying to get used to everything. You know, get used to the team, and then New Jersey, things kind of started turning around for me. You know, I got my first win, you know, and even in the dry, I was competitive. And it was the first time of the year that I've been competitive. And ever since then, we've just been building and building, and every race getting stronger and stronger. So, you know, I've been kind of happy with my season so far. You know, not really what I wanted. I wanted to be up there every race and actually fighting for a championship, you know. But it's tough this year, you know. The pace is quick, the guys are riding really good, and I'm just happy to be able to run their pace, you know, run up at the front and be competitive and you know, put my bike in the position to where I'm able to fight for podium positions.
You know, one of the things about this bike this year that I've been able to really watch is you can pretty much put it anywhere that some people can't get their bikes to. So I'm looking forward to see the nimbleness of it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the chassis on this thing's unreal. It really is, you know. The front ends, you've got such a good feel on the front end. And like you said, there's been times where we're just able to put the bike wherever you want to. So I think you're going to have fun on it.
Great. Well, thank you so much, and I'm looking forward to doing a few laps. Well, let's talk about today. Today you finished 4th. You had a good battle. What did you feel was holding you back from being further up to the front?
We made quite a lot of changes from qualifying this morning to the race. You know, the bike felt a bit better, but I think there's just a few things we need to work on. You know, I felt almost the same thing, kind of what you're saying. You know, every time I ran in there trail braking, I had a feeling that I was on the limit and that the front end was going to tuck under me the whole time. And then but yeah, I mean, it's something we're going to work on.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, as riders, that's what we go by, is the front end feel, and you got an experienced crew and everybody here. So you know, I know it's going to get better tomorrow, and thank you so much for letting us do this today.
Yeah, no, happy you could ride my bike, and like you said, these guys behind me, I know with their support and their work, we'll be there tomorrow fighting for a podium for sure.
Perfect. Thank you, Cameron. We'll see you guys all later.
Jason, they just look happy that you didn't crash the bike. How was it?
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure.
1,000 last week. Now you're on the 6. How was it?
It was great. It was a lot of fun. Cameron's such a good kid. He's just full of energy, always smiling. He came up for 4th, and we got him like 30 minutes after the race, and I'm getting to ride his bike. But you can see he's qualified 5th today for today's race. I talked to the crew this morning. They made some changes that made the bike feel a little bit better for him, so that's great.
Benny Solis on row number 2. He qualified in 6th and was able to put it on the podium yesterday. Of course, JD Beach leading the way, and when he dropped the hammer, it was pretty much over. Bryce Prince in the Superstock class, who qualified 7th, he has an opportunity today to wrap up the Superstock 600 National Championship. He would be the first championship of 2016 in MotoAmerica. And as we go on back through the field, a whole host of talented young riders, including Carolyn Olsen, who qualified in that spot on row number 6.
Expect Connor Blevins and Jason Aguilar to all go forward, as with Melissa Paris. Also, she's made some changes this morning, and I think hopefully she's going to have a better race. All the way back through Sahar Vic, and we just got so many people. And in our last chance qualifier today, we said the last 5 people qualified here are all through our last chance qualifier, which is such a fun race to watch. So we've got a full grid of 600s, and it's, like we said yesterday, the weather is perfect for all these guys, and it'll be interesting to see if, I'm interested in a couple things. I'm interested to see if Benny can get that Honda back up close again. I'm interested to see the changes that maybe Valentine and Cameron made to their bikes to see if they can get a little bit closer, as with Joe Roberts.
What's really interesting today, as the riders are out on their warm-up lap, is what's happening in the point situation. So the situation is there's only 1 race at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca next week, and then 2 at the final. That means that after this race, there's only 75 points available. If Garrett Gerloff can beat Valentine DeBees within the top 4, so if Valentine was 4th and so on, then Yamaha could wrap up the championship. Now let's take a look at the Suzuki Weather right now. 75 degrees, 77, absolutely beautiful.
If we can get this at every race, everybody will be really happy. So it's the conditions, like we said, they're perfect. This is the best weather we've had all year for any of our races. So it's been a real pleasure to come to Utah for all of us.
JP, it's going to be a long and complicated race, and there's got to be some keys in here. So it's time for us to take a look at JP's keys to the race. What you got?
Well, Gerloff this morning, Garrett Gerloff, that is, he closed the gap to JD. In fact, both of them went under the qualifying pole position time. Garrett did that on his last lap on there, and they were both on old tires. Generally, in these warm-up sessions in the morning, they go out on tires that they've been on already previously because of the amount of tires that they're allowed. Best of the rest, that's a kind of a curious one for me, because I feel like JD still has a little bit of the upper hand. I think that Garrett's going to go with him today. Have Valentine, has Cameron, has Benny, Joe Roberts, have they made significant changes to their bikes, to their programs today to make it to where now they might be able to run with them? I believe that the pace is going to be a little bit quicker at the front than it was yesterday. And of course, we talked about it earlier, Bryce Prince, and really our only lopsided championship of the year, Bryce Prince can wrap up that championship today for his Toon Industries bike there. And like I said yesterday, Mike Pond and all of the people that have been on that team, working on that team. Bryce has done just a tremendous job. And, even looking at his teammate, Jason Aguilar, he's here with a broken foot, and he did a great job yesterday, and he's going fast.
All right, let's go down for our last-minute report with Jake Zemke. What you got, Jay-Z?
Yeah, talking to Garrett Gerloff just a little bit earlier, he said the changes that they made to the motorcycle this morning was to the rear shock, and he said it made him more comfortable, not just on the rear of the motorcycle, but also the front. And he's looking to hunt down JD in this race.
This ought to be very, very interesting, because Gerloff lost a couple points to JD in the title chase. Now, we'll get more into that shock change as we get ready into this race. The red light's on when it goes off. Here we go. JD with a little bit of bounce in his step, but he's still able to get away cleanly. But Garrett Gerloff got swallowed up a bit.
Yeah, JD again with that great hole shot for him. And you're right, Garrett Gerloff is going back behind Joe Roberts there, between Valentine. You see Benny Solis, Cameron Peterson, both trying to go underneath.
So Benny Solis on that red Honda in 5th spot. So it looks like JD Beach is going to have his way. Boy, that launch, they really closed up. And to look at Joe Roberts on that yellow and black Yamaha R6. That's the Wheels in Motion Mean Motorsports motorcycle. And he goes right to the front with a miscue of JD Beach.
It looked like JD just got into turn 2 a little bit deep, ran him a little bit wide, and Joe was able to cut that bike right up underneath him. But you can see JD's going to fire back as they go into turn 5.
So it's a battle between Yamahas. JD Beach going sideways up the inside. Valentine to Bees. And so Valentine now takes over the second spot from Joe Roberts. So just like that, JD Beach back out front. But the question is, where is Garrett Gerloff? He's in fourth, but he's got Benny Solis and Cam Peterson right behind him.
And he doesn't want to let that bike get away up in the front. Number one there, JD Beach. That's who Garrett Gerloff's got his gun sights on right now. And if he lets him get away and get too much of a gap, he knows JD's going to go out and just run 53s right off the bat. Now, yesterday, Greg, we had a 1.9-second lead after the first lap. These guys have all closed that gap a little bit today. Will they be close enough to him as they get to the front straightaway to do the draft? I don't think they're going to be close enough. I think JD has just got the pace where he's going to pull away, and Garrett's got to get by these two right away.
So good on brand new tires, fresh off the warmers and fresh off a warm-up lap. Tires are not at 100% optimal temperature until a few corners in, as now Garrett Gerloff goes underneath Joe Roberts. So Gerloff making some moves early. He's got to get by Valentine to Bees if he's got a chance, because it's one thing to run the pace of JD Beach. It's a whole nother to be able to close that gap.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The problem that Garrett's going to have right now is even if he goes by Valentine down this straightaway, he's got 2 or 3 other guys drafting him and the possibility of getting drafted back past by DeBees. But DeBees got a tremendous drive. He's going to be behind him as they go into turn 1, although Garrett's pulling out right now. Let's see if he can go past. He's not going to be close enough to do it.
Joe Roberts continues to try to find some clean racetrack. He couldn't make a move by Garrett Gerloff. That's the other thing. We know Joe Roberts, he likes to be aggressive on these first couple laps. He made a pass yesterday. We were talking about him on Gerloff, and he just smiled and said, man, I really like that pass that I made on Gerloff yesterday.
He did. That was the first thing he said to us when we walked up to him during the fan walk today. Did you guys see that pass? Yeah, we saw it. The thing is that right now, Garrett has got to do something with Valentine right now. So they're headed off into turn 5, and he's up underneath him.
There it goes. So, and Valentine almost with a huge mistake. He's able to go, and Benny Solis up and out of the saddle. That caused Cam Peterson on the 45 to flinch. So with that, now Cam Peterson's going to get by. Joe Roberts around the outside. And Joe Roberts, they touched. And it looked like Joe Roberts, there was some smoke off the back of his motorcycle, the wheel. There's Benny Solis now side by side. Have you taken a breath yet? This early racing in Supersport, Superstock 600 is gnarly.
Benny fired a shot there as they went up into the attitudes. All those guys right there. This could be a battle all the way to the finish between these three. I think Garrett needed those guys to run into each other a little bit, and that gave him a little bit of space.
Now what's going to happen up front is with JD Beach with a little bit of a gap, Garrett Gerloff trying to chase him down now, as we're going to keep an eye on that interval to see if the lap times can be run by Garrett Gerloff. We know in the morning he closed the gap to JD Beach, but it wasn't like he leapfrogged him and was able to get another 2 or 3 tenths of a second in time. So now JD Beach, what kind of pace does he have, and how can he manage this? You can see now that back here in 4th, 5th, and 6th, that it's kind of settled down just a little bit, as Benny Solis now looks like he's going to be locked in a battle with Joe Roberts, at least for the moment, as now it goes JD Beach, 1.8 seconds to Garrett Gerloff, 2.3 back to Valentine to Bees, and now Cam Peterson is locking on the rear wheel of his teammate as Peterson sent his motorcycle sideways. Now Benny Solis has gotten around Joe Roberts.
Benny.
Wow!
He's getting on the gas so early, and see, Greg, when you're on the edge of the tire like that, these guys know that they can grab a lot more of a handful than they did before. Now you're going to see Benny. He's squared turn 1 up. He's going to get on the gas, gets down on the very inside of the track, gets that thing really loose, but he's able to get that thing saved. So what a big save by Benny.
Bike down. So looks like a motorcycle down in a corner. Dusty and definitely dirty here.
Joe Roberts. Is that Joe Roberts? That is Joe Roberts down, and he has just been struggling with the front end of that bike all year long. This is going to be turn 3. This is going to be a fast one. You're going to probably watch that front end just maybe slide right up. Oh, he does rear end, Greg. That's horrible. So what basically happens there is just the bike gets unloaded incorrectly just as he gets to the apex of the corner, and it just throws him off the inside of the bike.
And Jason, he has been fighting with this all weekend long, last couple weekends, with the motorcycle and acceleration actually pumping, and the crew's been working and working, trying to figure that out. So Joe Roberts and his Mean Motorsports Yamaha out of this race. His air suit doing a good job, though, of protecting him. So now we have, look at this, folks. These two M4 SportBikeTrackGear.com Suzukis have caught Garrett Gerloff on the YES Graves Yamaha. So just as we thought that Gerloff might set sail for JD Beach, now the tables have turned, and we see the familiar 53 of Valentine DeBees, who had a good opportunity to put some points between Gerloff and JD Beach, and he crashed out. Today's a different day.
Yeah, you can see that Suzuki. It can actually draft up there with Garrett. Let's see if Valentine can pull up alongside of him as they head into turn number 1. And by the way, let me just go back and say that that wasn't something that Joe necessarily did wrong. He's just trying to get on the gas as early as he can on the edge of the tire. And when I say the bike was unloaded or loaded not correctly, I just mean that for the amount of lean angle he had, for the amount of throttle he put on, there just wasn't enough grip there for him, and that's why it threw him off. But back to this battle up here, second, third, fourth. The Suzukis look like they have got something for Garrett. He hasn't been able to get away. His teammate up front, back in the 53s, 153.619 that last time by. And incidentally, JD on the lap before that, 53.3.
Oh, big mistake by Valentine DeBees. And he was running it up onto the back end of Garrett Gerloff. He had to grab a handful of brake right there and slow himself down. Cam Peterson can't take advantage, but now Valentine DeBees has got to work his way back up to Garrett Gerloff.
It looks like he is just literally struggling with the release of the brake as he gets into those slow corners, is Valentine. So we're going to keep an eye on that because we've seen that now twice today in the same corner that he fell in yesterday, Greg.
So Garrett Gerloff is the 31 motorcycle, YES Graves Yamaha. That's the blue and white one leading the way. Right there, you get a good look at the M4 SportBikeTrackGear.com Suzuki's GSXR 600. If you're watching this racing for the first time, folks, these are motorcycles that are slightly modified for racing, but they're the ones that you can buy right off the showroom floor at your motorcycle dealer. This is the battle for second because 2.2 seconds up ahead is JD Beach, the #1 plate, the reigning champ, who's riding high right now, coming off of 3 consecutive race wins.
And all that stuff that happened between Joe Roberts and Benny has dropped Benny back a little bit, so he's lost touch with those 3, but this guy doesn't care. He's out there running 53.6 again, folks, 53.3 on 2 laps ago, and if you remember yesterday, he's chasing that record that Cameron Beaubier has of 53.2, so he's actually upped his pace from yesterday.
So the battle for second, you can see off in the distance back there, that red motorcycle, that was Benny Solis, the 35, who finished 3rd yesterday, like Jason talked about, but he's losing touch right now. And that's tough here at this racetrack, even if you don't have a carrot, because there's so many of these short chutes, these short straightaways that you can even get in the draft, even if it's for 1/10 of a second to stay with somebody. We talked about it in the Superbike race earlier. Josh Herron wanted to take a super stock bike and try to do that with Superbikes to break away. It's a strategy that people think about as Cam Peterson now going under braking, so he's able to stuff it up the inside of Valentine DeBees. A really nice pass by Cam Peterson.
And he's really good into this next turn. He gets it in there, turned a little bit earlier, and earlier on we saw him trying to go by Benny there. So maybe they found something with that bike. It looks like the thing's holding its line a lot better on the exit of the corners for Cameron right now. So maybe some of the adjustments that they made overnight will have helped them. So it looks like he's able to finish the corners now, Greg, whereas yesterday, the thing that we heard him say in that piece is he wasn't able to finish the turns quite as well.
South African Cam Peterson, you heard from him earlier. He's running that number 45. Now, Jason, he comes from South Africa, and, you know, it's not an easy trek to come from South Africa to the United States.
Yeah.
And he's got quite a story behind how he got here, huh?
Yeah, he's got his whole family, basically. Robbie Peterson, his dad, very famous racer in his own right. They sold everything to bring Cameron over here when we had the Red Bull Rookies Cup, and then it got canceled after they had made these big plans. And it's quite a crazy story. But they met Danny Walker through that whole process. Danny got him over here in 2014, some 4 or 5 years later, and that's how he's got involved with the MotoAmerica paddock now. So, you know, it's great to have Cameron in our series. Like I said earlier, he's a great kid. He's going to have his teammate drafting up alongside of him here in a minute.
Yeah, that last section was just a little sloppy by Cam. I think he was just kind of offline a little bit and didn't quite get the drive he needed to get on the front straightaway. And so he will lose position to his teammate Valentine DeBees, and now he's got that pass to do all over again.
That said, he ran 53.9, did Cameron, that last lap. So the Suzukis haven't been in the 53s all weekend until that lap, and so they've definitely made some big changes, and that's good to see. I don't think they're going to let Garrett get away.
So Garrett Gerloff, number 31, leading the way. This is the battle for second. As you can see at the bottom of your screen, with 5 laps of 16 complete, the leader is JD Beach. He's extended his lead to 2.9. You just saw his green Monster Energy helmet go, and there we go. So close. What do you see, Jay?
Yeah, those 3 guys are so nose to tail, and you saw Cameron's bike back in. That means he's pulling on the lever a little bit harder. He was going in right behind his teammate. So, you know, generally when you get really close to guys, you're going to position yourself just to the left or just to the right. What that told me is that he was getting incredibly close to his teammate on the exact same line, and that's why you saw that bike back in a little bit on him there.
So JD Beach leads the way. Garrett Gerloff, Valentine DeBees, Cam Peterson, Benny Solis Jr. is now caught in kind of no man's land. He's 6 seconds behind this battle. He's got Bryce Prince and Richie Escalante, who are duking it out for the Super Stock 600 Championship. They are battling very closely, and Bryce Prince is in a position, by the way, he just needs to score 1 point. He doesn't care. He wants to win the race, as do these riders. But at this point, Jason, when you know you want to win a race and you're seeing JD Beach go and you know you don't have anything for him, what is your mindset? How does it change from when you're sitting on the grid to right now?
Well, look, these guys have just been beat by a better guy today. The guy, JD, is on rails. If they could run a 10-race round series at any one track, JD would probably pick Utah Motorsports Campus, because last year he did the exact same thing. I watched in turn 1 last year during the race. I just sat there and I was just amazed that it was just so much faster. And he is, again, he's just ringing off minute 53 laps over and over and over again. If you're Garrett, he's got to keep his focus forward. He's got to continue to keep chasing that lap time. They've made some adjustments on his bike. He's gone quicker than he did yesterday, obviously, but he's got to keep those Suzukis behind him.
All right, Jason, looking at JD Beach right now, I mean, I don't usually like to talk much about the past, okay? But 1997, you dominated 750 Supersport on your way to your first national championship. You had races like this, where you just went out comfortable and you were just walloping the field. How is like the daily mindset? Like when you know you're going to the racetrack and you're feeling that good, what's it like? What's it feel like to be in that position that JD Beach is in?
There's nothing better than pulling in, knowing that you have a chance to win. That's what we all go for right now. And JD has got back to that point where he was at last year with his team, where when he shows up at a racetrack, he feels he can win. He knows he can win. And what it allows you to really do is plan your races a little bit. Once you know exactly what you're getting out of your bike, out of your team, out of everything, even as far as tire management, once you're able to start to plan that, it just all becomes so easy. Where it becomes hard is where you're at, where JD was at the beginning of the year, when things that same team, same bike, same everything, the bikes had changed a little bit. And all of a sudden, JD couldn't hit anything. He was swinging and missing. And that was very frustrating for him. But now he's got that mojo back. And boy, 1997 seems a long time ago, Greg. But I do remember the feeling that he has. And when you're out in front like he is now, the thing I used to always think about was I wanted to try to increase my lead, but I'd always be focused on wanting to see that first back marker. It was a way for me to motivate myself to keep pushing.
So here's Benny Solis finishing 3rd yesterday. An absolute spectacular result for Honda and for his team. He and his dad, this H35 crew, didn't even know he finished 3rd when he pulled in. He said, my dad was emotional. I'm like, why? I finished 4th again. He goes, you actually finished 3rd. So it was a great result for the Honda CBR 600RR. And you can see in the background the difference in number plates. Benny's got that white number plate, 35 on it. But now we transition back to the Superstock 600s with that red plate, that red backing plate. This is the battle. Right there is 54, Richie Escalante, who was injured for the beginning part of the season, has now really turned the jets on, and championship points leader number 74, Bryce Prince. We talked about it, JP. He's got a 99-point lead. Now, in terms of the championship, Escalante doesn't really matter, doesn't factor in, but Bryce Prince wants to win the race and the championship in the same day to really put a stamp on it.
He's free for all in it, and that's what he's got to do. Bryce cannot go off his plan that he's done all year. He has rode absolutely fantastic and faultless this year. And the thing about Bryce is that he's got such a big lead that it doesn't really matter. He's got to leave here with 75-point lead. That's all he has to do at the end of the day. So that fact in and of itself is, even if he doesn't win this race, or even if he was to have a problem in this race, the guys that are behind him, Dakota Momola, would have to then win the race to even keep the championship still alive. So right now, Bryce is out there. He's trying to win the race. And just to let you guys know, these guys, these guys have gone 55.6, 55.7. Last year, Joe Roberts won this race doing 56 flat, I do believe. So it just shows you the pace and the level that our Superstock riders are at. And of course, we would have loved to have had Escalante here at the beginning of the year. He suffered some injuries during the offseason and he wasn't there, because this would have been the battle for the championship that you're looking at right now.
And by the way, if he has 75 points, then he wins on tiebreakers anyway, if someone could even match him in the points. Now, here's JD Beach coming along the straightaway. And I wonder what his pit board actually has to say for JD. Jake, do you have any info on that?
Yeah, I sure do, Greg. You know, right now they're showing JD +3, which is a little on the short side because he's actually 3.7. But they're also showing him 53.9 on the bottom of his board, which was Garrett Gerloff's time the last lap around. So they're basically letting him know the time that the guys in second, third, and fourth are running. So he knows he's got an onboard lap timer on his bike, JD does. So he knows what time he's running, and he also knows what time the guys behind him are.
Ah, very good. So that's extremely helpful then, because, you know, even if he's trying to manage that gap, he knows, hey, at least last time around I was faster than Garrett Gerloff.
That's absolutely right.
It's a lot of info, Jason, to process, though. Fast race.
But the neat thing is you can see it because when you come out of this last corner, you're going through the gears. It gives you a chance to look, and it's only 3 lines, but it's just a matter of how much information you want to take in. As you can see, these two guys are all over the back of Garrett. But for JD, the more information he has, the better he can plan his race, the better he can go through that process, and that's exactly what he's doing, Greg.
So here's the interesting thing. As we look at this battle for second place, it's Garrett Gerloff on the 31, DeBees on the 53, Peterson on the 45. You can see that on the bottom of your screen. Looking at the lap times, JD Beach has been able to pull off a 153.332.
Unbelievable.
Yesterday, he said he wants to be the fastest, basically 600 ever around this racetrack. Cam Beaubier, his teammate, I guess you could say, in the Superbike class, both Yamaha riders, I think circulated around here to 53.2, if I'm not mistaken. So JD set himself a goal of being the fastest 600 rider. I'm not sure, Jake, you know, hey, Zemke, maybe you could just yell at JD as he goes by and just say, 53.3, man, you haven't quite hit it just yet. Yeah, he's not answering that question.
He's not going to answer.
That's just a dumb statement by me. But back up to the battle for second we go.
But the thing is that now the tires he just ran 53.7, but it's going to be very difficult.
All right, here's a look at Carolyn Olsen right now, running in 16th spot, and she's the top running female road racer that we have going on, and her best time's a 58.8. So Carolyn on that Loxy motorcycle, that GSXR 600 out of Norway, doing a great job here this weekend at Utah Motorsports Campus. And Jason, you know Carolyn pretty well.
I do. I'm fortunate she actually lives with me, but Carolyn is chasing her teammate right now, Xavier Zayat. So they're going to be locked in a battle here too, because I've been kind of watching the timing and screening. And Xavier, obviously a very talented young guy in his own right, doing a great job. He's been struggling a little bit this year with setup himself. He's come from a Yamaha and Pirelli's, and now he's on a little bit different program and a different package to come over to the MotoAmerica series. But both these bikes are run out of the sportbiketrackgear.com M4 Suzuki crew. They're the ones that have been putting these two bikes together all year long. But you can see Carolyn, she's trying pretty hard. She just ran the fastest lap of the race for her, which is a 58.7. And she's got somebody up there, somebody to chase. And you can see Valentine DeBees now on his Suzuki, also from that same team. And Garrett's trying to go underneath him in the attitudes. It's a very risky, and you got to commit real early on that one, Greg.
So it looked like Valentine had been trying to test Garrett on the brakes a couple of times, just having to pull that lever back really hard and lose a couple of bike lengths. And after as many laps as they've been running together, I think Valentine DeBees thinks he's figured something out. So he takes over point, and once again, there's championship ramifications. Here's the deal. All right, it's quite complicated, so I'm going to try to dumb it down as much as I can for me, all right? So basically the deal is that in terms of Yamaha winning the championship, if Garrett Gerloff can finish in front of Valentine DeBees, the championship would be left solely to JD Beach and Garrett Gerloff. That means only Yamaha could win the championship. What's at stake for Valentine DeBees is not only a result, but keeping Suzuki's hopes, albeit slim, alive in this championship. But the Yamaha R6 and Garrett Gerloff love that front straightaway, and back into second place he goes.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, Valentine's getting out of that last turn very strong, though, because we know that the Yamaha has been just a little bit stronger than the Suzuki's in top speed. But Valentine DeBees won at Road America this year.
Sure did.
absolutely incredible when you know the kind of track that is and the speed that there is, because they were down a little bit on horsepower, but he was so magical in the last sort of sector or two of that racetrack. He was able to pull a big enough gap. Now look, Cameron really wants to get involved in this. You can see it. And the thing I've noticed about Cameron, and if you watch it, when they go through this left, the next right-hand corner, we talked pretty specifically yesterday, he couldn't keep the bike down low enough. So basically from the point where they're at right now, he couldn't cut the bike back down to the inside curbing like Valentine did yesterday and he's doing today. Cameron's able to do that now. He's able to get the bike and finish the turn a little bit better. So, you know, they did some spring adjustments in the front end on that bike, Greg, give him a little bit of ride height in the back also. So they've made some significant changes, and you can see it's really made a difference for Cameron.
So Garrett Gerloff, your championship points leader, was whacked down from 33 to 28 after yesterday's result. The gap has now increased to 4.7 seconds between first and second spot. So if JD Beach continues this torrid pace of 54 flats, it's all about this battle for second. Now it looks like Valentine DeBees might have lit a fire under Garrett Gerloff, because Valentine threw his shot in there, but now it looks like Gerloff has responded by twisting the grip even harder.
Yeah, it does look like that, and he did it through that section after the attitudes here. We're going to look at some replay action here. This is pass for second place between Valentine. This is going back into turn 6, so he got up underneath Garrett there. Now he was able to get the bike turned. You can see it wanting to go outside. So as they come back down that front straightaway a lap later, you can see Garrett got it deep into the draft there. Cameron's stuck behind in a double draft now, but Garrett was able to ease past him as they got on the brakes for turn 1.
So that's been the battle for second so far, and now after that pass, Garrett Gerloff has figured something out as he's trying to shake these two Suzukis and reduce the damage, because right now, if the race concluded, JD Beach would get another 5 points back on his teammate Garrett Gerloff. Now the situation is, beginning yesterday, if Garrett Gerloff could finish second in every race, the last 5 races of the year, as opposed to, say, JD Beach winning them all, Garrett Gerloff would still have plenty of points to win the championship. So JD Beach in this championship hunt is going to need some help. The Yamaha rider is going to need some help from some Suzukis, and that's not a conversation you can go have, Jason. It's not like you can go over there and say, hey guys, how about $1? I'll give you $1, you hook me up, you know?
Exactly right. No, that's definitely true, and you can see Valentine has closed that gap back in, and JD's just cruising right now, 4.6 seconds. It was a great report Jake gave us just now on the fact that the information that he's getting, and sort of with 4 laps left to go, for these guys to gain a second on him is going to be near impossible.
Now, the information that, of course, the riders get, if you've never been to a motorcycle race before or joining us for the first time on BN Sports, the information is relayed through what we call a pit board. So there's no communication with motorcycle racers. These riders are out there on their own, so they only get information about once every 1 minute and 54 seconds if they don't look back, and that's through a pit board that's hung over the wall on the front straightaway. So they've got to be able to locate that at high speed and get the information that they choose to get from their crew right about at this point.
That's right there, right as they come out of that last corner. It's a good spot because we're still going fairly slow out of that last corner. You're going through the gears. You see Valentine's going to try to do something with him on the brakes. They get down to turn 1, not quite close enough. So these two guys are going to battle all the way, and Benny Solis running back in a lonely and distant 5th. This is kind of what happens. These are the worst kind of races, Greg, when you're out there by yourself and you're just he just went by a back marker there.
Yeah, but Edward Zaragoza.
Yep, who qualified through our last chance qualifier today, and but Benny was able to get by him. But his race was a little bit run at the beginning when him and Joe were kind of tangling up there next to each other.
4.9 seconds now the margin as we look at Benny Solis running in 5th. He's 22 seconds back. So Benny Solis able to do a 55.1. We've seen him do faster times yesterday when he was involved in a battle, and it just goes to show you that he's capable of doing it, but he really needs to have that toe. So the gap is closed back up as Valentine DeBees chomping at the bit. Now at this point, Jason, you've tried. Valentine tried to get out front. He tried to maybe break Garrett a little bit. Garrett has definitely tried to break Valentine as Cam Peterson now is struggling to keep this pace. And so you have to think at this point, race strategy. Valentine knows what he's got. He's raced Garrett Gerloff before. He's been able to pass him on the last lap a couple of times. Garrett knows he's there. He knows he's a good rider. And I can tell you from sitting on an airplane, by the way, at leaving Birmingham, Valentine and I got to sit on the airplane next to each other. Poor guy was in the middle seat. But we talked a lot about his attitude towards racing. And his attitude is, I don't care. I just want to win. Yep. I want to take a shot. If I don't try, then why am I out here racing? I love that attitude.
Oh, it's great. And he's done such a good job for that team this year. I think it was a bit of a spark that maybe nobody even knew was going to be there. I'd never heard of Valentine before this year. And of course, that team is always so good at putting guys on good bikes and this and that. And he came in right off the bat, did very, very well. You could tell how happy he was just to be on the podium in Atlanta. And then he started, when he won at MotoAmerica, it was even better because of the way he did it. Yesterday, he tried to do exactly what he's doing right now. He's hanging onto the back of Garrett, and he made a mistake, but he made a mistake trying, and can't fault the guy for that.
And we talked to team owner John Ulrich after that about that situation, and surprisingly, almost miraculously, John actually had a smile on his face because he was glad that Valentine took a shot. It wasn't the result. I mean, John's a former racer himself, and he knows what it takes to win races, and that was a good shot by Valentine, even though it didn't pay off. Cam Peterson now really trying to latch on and stay on the back of these riders, as it's Garrett Gerloff now going around lap traffic. That's the 773 of Mark Rhodes out of the Chicagoland area right there. Rhodes, he's got to roll out of it just a little bit, Mark. Oh, and Cam Peterson lost some time there. That's unfortunate.
Just a little bit there, just a little bit. We'll see if he can close that back up, but he just caught him just in the wrong spot, that's all. I mean, Mark was doing his best to get out of the way on the right-hand side there, and it just looked like Cameron just got him in the wrong spot, right in the middle of the corner. That's going to be a very difficult gap for him to close back up. That said, these guys are still doing 53s also. Garrett Gerloff and Valentine both did 53.9. Cameron did a 54 flat, so he does have that in him.
The gap's been reduced to 3.4 seconds, by the way, because JD Beach had to back it down to a 54.9, quite possibly the result of some lap traffic. But with that gap now going from nearly 5 seconds down to 3.4, that means that Garrett Gerloff's got a better sight, a bigger picture of the #1 JD Beach. This one is not over. As we work 3 laps to go here, Garrett Gerloff on the 31 machine, on his way on the front straightaway with 2 laps to go.
And this is where it's going to hurt Cam, because he just isn't in that lead draft. What he needs, what he's got to hope for, is that we see JD way up in the front here. His gap's been trimmed down to 3.1, but if I'm Cameron Peterson, I'm hoping that a little bit of back markers or something are going to slow these 2 guys up ever so slightly. You can see here that these 2 guys are pushing very hard, still in the low 54s. But Valentine seems like he's just kind of following. It's going to be interesting to see if he makes his move in the same spot that he did yesterday. He's very fast through turn 3 and 4, but Cameron's just lost touch now with these guys, just a little bit.
Heartbreak with lap traffic. Here's another look at what was going on. You can see Mark Rhodes trying to get out of the way right there on that green and black motorcycle. Cam Peterson just couldn't get his motorcycle turned into that corner as Rhodes was trying to make it on his own. So that little bit, that couple tenths of a second, is what caused the problem. But coming up on some more lap traffic, and this might be a chance for Cam to reel him back in.
Yep, no, we're going to be okay here as Ryan Whitman just gets out of the way for these 2 guys perfectly, and you know, he knew those guys were coming. Ryan's come up from California. A couple of our CVMA guys have made their way over here to Miller, and now he's just going to have Cameron behind him going through the attitudes also. So Garrett's just trying to pull away ever so slightly there.
So look at the 141 machine circulating around this racetrack. That's Brian Dabrowski. As now there's just lap traffic all over the place this late in the race.
And it's all in the little weird section here right at the end of the lap as we go to the leaders in Superstock, and Bryce Prince has stayed right on the back of Escalante. And you know, there's nothing better than winning a championship by winning the race to do it. And I think that Bryce has done a good job. As you can see, Escalante backing that bike in up there in turn 11, and Bryce is just staying right there behind him. We haven't seen Bryce ahead of him yet, so maybe Bryce is just making a plan, getting an idea of what's going on, and then you know, hopefully here in another 25 minutes or so, he'll be breaking out the t-shirts.
Now, the last lap, the white flag is flying. These riders haven't taken it just yet, but JD Beach has. So when these riders, the 54 and the 74, come across the line here momentarily, now they're going to be working their last lap. So whatever strategy Bryce Prince has in his pocket, he's got to pull it out now. So here is a look at JD Beach, now living in Kentucky out of Washington State. He is the reigning #1 plate, and that gap is down to 2 seconds on this last lap. Is there something going on with JD Beach? Is he having a hard time getting around traffic? Is he managing this lead? But Garrett Gerloff right now can see JD Beach. He's so close as they're working this final lap. Could this all turn disastrous? Look how close.
Oh,
wow.
Man. And I'll tell you something else, Greg. I think something happened to Valentine even earlier than that, even earlier than that back marker there, because there was a gap already between Garrett and Valentine, and I saw a back marker in between them before. But this is what can happen. These guys here, these guys are racing for championships, and they can't take anything. They're pushing to the absolute limit. JD Beach, all he's done is controlled this race, Greg. It's funny because he's having a look over his shoulder. He knows what's going on. That could have been disastrous for Valentine.
So Valentine DeBees now is able to keep the motorcycle upright. He avoids disaster and contact with a back marker. And sometimes that happens. A rider who's got a lot of experience in the FIM World Endurance Series with traffic, but it looks like JD Beach right now has got this one in hand. He's done the business. He comes onto the front straightaway, hand in the air, and JD Beach will take another victory here at Utah Motorsports Campus.
Yeah, and we get Garrett Gerloff, damage control, good for Garrett. He did exactly what he needed to do. Valentine DeBees, you can see I saw parts flying when that happened. I'm sure something was said. Cameron Peterson probably saw something when those two guys hit. And here we go. Great weekend for Benny. Finishes third yesterday, finishes a lonely fifth today. You know, we'll have to talk with him later to see if they made any changes that maybe didn't work that particular race. But still, best weekend.
Got hung out early.
Best weekend he's done.
And here's the race for the Superstock. Back of the frame to the checkered flag we come. And how about Bryce Prince? Whatever he had in the bank, he uncorked it and was able to take the victory, and he will take the 2016 MotoAmerica Superstock 600 National Championship. 2 events early. What a run for the 74 of Bryce Prince. An amazing run for him. He was talking that Richie Escalante was just going to be able to check out. He downplayed his possibility earlier on in the weekend of winning a race, but now a reigning national champion. Congratulations to Bryce Prince and all the Toon crew.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a fantastic job by Bryce all year long. He did such a good job, and it looked like he planned his race perfectly to be able to do something there with Richie at the end. And what a great way to put a cap on your championship season.
7 wins on the season for Bryce Prince. Congratulations to him and his team, and congratulations to the #1 plated JD Beach. Gets another 5 points back in the championship to his teammate Garrett Gerloff. Boy, Garrett's got a lot at stake right now, and he's got to be thinking behind him. These Suzukis are getting awfully close.
23 points. So now again, you know, by our calculations, I think it was a 33-point lead coming in.
It was.
And so he gained 10 points. So it's 23 points
so
now.
So it was an entire race win plus, and now it's under 1 race win.
Exactly right. But Garrett did what he needed to do, and Garrett's going to be strong at Laguna Seca. We know that already.
Oh yeah.
And he was very fast earlier in the year in New Jersey. So you know, you got to think still, it's going to take a couple of these Suzukis to get in between these guys to really make things to really shake things up a little bit.
So Garrett Gerloff out of Texas, second today. He knows what's at stake. He knows that he had to at least beat those Suzukis. And oh, by the way, it looks like Yamaha is going to win this championship, whether it's going to be 1 or 2 of those riders.
Yeah.
We're going to take a break here on beIN Sports. When we come back, we're going to take you to Winner's Circle and talk to all these riders and see how it went from their perspective. All right, we're back at Utah Motorsports Campus. They're checking out the damage on Valentine DeBees' motorcycle after he made contact with the 125 Ryan Richardson out of Clinton, Utah. Here's a look at the contact, back right part of your screen.
Wow, you can see parts flying there. Valentine was just trying his best to try to go with Garrett. And just 2 riders making contact in the same spot on the racetrack. And that was really the end of it for Valentine as far as trying to challenge Garrett for the win. But you know, it would have been a shame had he crashed because he rode extremely well as usual. And for him to get unlucky there at the end is a shame. But you know what? Those guys are riding hard. That they're passing Greg, and we know how that goes.
Absolutely. So hopefully Ryan Richardson is okay. All right, let's take a look at the race results. As J.D. Beach, boy, he had a big lead early on, and that evaporated down to 1.9 seconds as Garrett Gerloff was putting on quite the charge towards the end. Valentine DeBees keeps it on 2 wheels over Cam Peterson, who lost out in lap traffic. Benny Solis, a lonely ride in 5th. Then that battle in the Superstock Championship. And Dakota Momola, Travis Wyman, who really needed to finish ahead of Dakota Momola because they're actually battling for 2nd place.
Yeah, Dion Campbell, Connor Blevins, Michael Gilbert, Xavier Zak, great job finishing in top 15. All the way back 19th, Robert Pierce, Melissa Paris, 20th, and you see Daniel Diaz, I think was right. They were really close together, those two. So all the way back down through the field there, we had battles going on all the way around.
Mark Rhodes, you can see he was also involved with that whole Cam Peterson incident, racing his race of his own. But let's go down to Jake Zemke, who has Valentine DeBees. Interested to hear what happened with him, Jake.
We're down here with Valentine. It was so close between you and Garrett, and then on that last lap, tell us what happened with that lapper.
Yeah, I was not so lucky this time with the lapper. I tried to overtake Gerloff the lap before, you know, to be in the front because it's always better to be first when we arrive to the lapper. So I tried, but I did some mistake and I can't anyway finish in the podium after my mistake that I did yesterday. It's good, so I cannot expect for more today. So thanks everybody for helping me.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, great smile on his face.
Yes.
Even after that contest. Oh, I like the koozie.
Yeah,
love the
got
Be in Sports koozie. He's on board. Of course, Be in Sports big in France, so he knows.
Let me tell you, that's big contact. That is big contact right there. That's not,
good for
that's
Ryan
not
Richardson,
small.
too,
Both those
saying,
guys.
Yep.
Good for Ryan, good for Valentine to be able to save it. And, you know, he always seems really happy to put it on the podium. I think he knows how hard the competition is between all these guys. So for him to be where he's at in the podium is good after that contact.
All right, let's go down to Jake Zemke, who's hanging out with Double G. What's going on, Jake?
Garrett, you had a war going on with Valentine DeBees and Cam Peterson right there as well, you know, but you were able to come out on top through those lappers.
Yeah, I mean, you know, lappers can help or hurt you, and luckily today they helped me out, which they haven't always done in the past. But, you know, just I didn't want today to feel like a replay yesterday, but in a way it kind of did. Luckily, my time was a little bit better. My bike felt a little bit better in some spots, but man, just a little bit off this weekend. But it happens sometimes, and happy to still be in 2nd place and be on the podium. And I can't thank my crew enough for all the hard work they do. Cortec leathers, CD boots, Shoei helmets, finished first, Scott bicycles, just everybody that supports me and my team. And you know, looking forward to Laguna. It's a fun track, and man, this year's winding down pretty fast. So let's just keep the ball rolling, and I just got to give all the glory to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Thanks.
Congratulations, Garrett.
Still hasn't mentioned the championship.
Nope.
You know, I like it. I like it a lot because, you know, Garrett, his year has not only just been consistent, he's won a bucket load of races, and he's built that championship points lead up to where it was, not only just through fault of others, but because he's been winning races, and that's what he's got to do. This guy's still capable of winning races, and he will, but there's somebody that Jake's going to probably be talking to in a minute that's going to have something to say about that.
Win streak.
Hey, we're down here with J.D. Beach. J.D., another commanding performance. You know, you stretched the lead to about 4.5 seconds. In those last few laps, you gave a little back. Did you know those guys were that close?
Yeah, my crew was giving me their lap time so I could see what Garrett was doing, and then the last couple laps I got into some traffic that slowed me down some. But I mean, I did the work that I needed to in the middle of the race to get that gap, and just kind of maybe just started playing it a little bit too safe at the end. But it was a great race. My crew has worked so hard, and I mean, like I said, yesterday I kind of shot myself in the foot at the beginning of the season, and we're trying to win races, but still just not. It's not enough with Garrett getting 2nd, but it still feels good to win races, and we're just gonna keep plugging away.
Well, awesome job again, JD. Did the double here at Utah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, JD Beach, I'm telling you, folks, you've got to come out to Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca or at New Jersey in September and meet JD Beach. He is one of the greatest guys. Oh, and he loves racing. I mean, race anything.
Yeah, he's a good guy. I mean, he's a great guy. And the fact that now, it was really weird seeing him a little bit depressed at the beginning of the year. You know, he puts on a good face on the camera, and there was a couple places that we saw where he was on third on the podium, and you and I made a comment to each other that, yeah, he doesn't look happy.
No.
And we don't say that very often about him. But now he has found that little role that he found last year, and it's going to make it hard on these guys. You know what? Garrett's going to earn this championship. If he's going to win it, he's going to earn it, and his teammate's going to be pushing him all the way down.
Only 75 points available from this point forward, so you can see that Valentine DeBees has 76. So that takes Suzuki's possibility out of this championship. So now it is all between the YES Graves Yamaha teammates to duke it out for themselves. And I can tell you right now that back in Cypress, California, that puts a big smile on Yamaha's face after Suzuki's able to win a couple of races, take a few away after last year's perfect season.
Yeah, and you look on down through the results here, you know, Gage McAllister and so forth. We haven't seen Gage in a while, but all these guys have scored points over the course of the year. We pay top 15 in points, and like we say all the time now, you earn a point in a MotoAmerica race, and that's actually a big accomplishment because it's a really hard series now. I mean, we're getting some very, very talented riders, and you look at the grids and things, and it's not easy to even score 1 point, Greg.
No, it certainly isn't. So hats off to everyone who comes out here and scores points. Not quite as difficult, say, as Formula One, but it's pretty darn close. So JD Beach, Garrett Gerloff, Valentine DeBees standing there on the Dunlop podium getting interviewed. I'm going to tell you something. JD is going to walk away from this weekend one happy camper. But Garrett Gerloff loves Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, and his eyes are all forward at this point. We're going to take a break right here on beIN Sports from UMC. When we come back, we'll have more stuff going on from this racetrack. We're not even close to being done. We're back at the MotoAmerica Superbike Championship of Utah. Round 7 for the Supersport Superstock 600 class. It's all done and dusted. But I'm going to tell you something. Down in Winner's Circle, I'd like to introduce you to, with Jake Zemke, the first MotoAmerica 2016 champion of the year, Bryce Prince.
Bryce Prince, not only did you win that race, but you come home with the 2016 600 Superstock Championship.
Oh yeah, it feels great. It felt that much better to, you know, beat Richie in that race. He was riding extremely well this weekend. He got me in the first race, and I gave it my all that second race. I did exactly what I wanted to do, is try to get him under and get underneath him in turn 1, draft him down the straight, and lead the last lap. And it's just, I'm so happy that we were finally able to make this happen, racing for a long time, and to get up there. I just can't thank my whole Tuned Racing crew enough. Riders Discount, Quicksilver Power Sports Lubricants, Chuck Graves and Graves for giving us an awesome bike. You know, Yamaha has just been good for us. Dunlop tires were great the whole race, and just everyone that's been supporting us. It's finally to, you know, wrap up this championship and finish it with a win. It's just couldn't be any better for us.
Yeah, you've been dominating the class all year long, Bryce, and congratulations on this championship. It's well deserved.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a hard-fought race this weekend, and I wouldn't have wanted it any other way.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Hey, Jake, I got a quick question for you to ask him, if you could, for me, please.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, we saw Joe Roberts, when he won the Superstock Championship, jump up into Supersport for a round or two last year at Jersey. Is that something that Bryce is going to do for us here before the season's over?
Yeah, Bryce, Jason Pridmore's asking, we saw last year when Joe Roberts wrapped up the Superstock Championship, he jumped back up to Supersport for the last couple races. Is that something that you're thinking about?
We've been thinking about it. We just want to make sure we can be competitive. If we can put something together with Chuck and these guys for Laguna, we're really going to try to. But we'll keep everyone posted, and shortly we'll have an announcement made as what we're going to do.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thanks so much. We almost got an exclusive right here on beIN Sports.
Trying,
almost.
You know, I'm new to this. I'm new to this media stuff, but the kid is good enough to where I think if they put him on the right bike, I've seen him lead sport bike races back in the day. He's good enough to do it. He's good enough to get up there. And the reason I'm asking is because it might be one more guy that can get up there in that mix. I don't think that, you know, I know he's doing some stuff with Graves, so I don't think he's going to go put himself in the middle of that championship.
Yep.
But I think he's capable of running up front.
He is part of the blue crew, so you never know what happens at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. But Hey folks, this is Utah Motorsports Campus, and we have one more race to go, Superbike, and it's on the other side. So, take your breath, we'll be back.